Level 1. You are an 18-year-old girl in Tijuana, daughter of a family with dark connections, running through narrow alleys delivering heroin packages hidden inside shopping bags. Your day starts at sunrise, picking up orders from a distant uncle in a noisy market, blending into the crowd. You use camouflaged packages and alternate routes to cross checkpoints. But one mistake means prison with no way out. For now, you earn pocket change to survive, but a lost delivery, and the bosses eliminate you without hesitation. Level 2. You move up to lookout in a warehouse at the Baja, California port at 20 years old after reporting an infiltrated informant. You spend hours in the shadows monitoring barrels of cocaine arriving from Colombian boats with a knife always within reach. In crowded cantinas, you listen to loose conversations and use context to map rival movements. If a shipment disappears, you take a beating in an alley, but survive and earn trust. Now you receive a larger cut and invest in discreet tools for protection. Level 3. You manage local deliveries in Culiacan at 22 years old, with a scar on your shoulder from an armed confrontation. You bribe border guards with envelopes of pesos, so trucks loaded with methamphetamine pass without inspection. You hide loads in fruit baskets or vehicle parts, and distribute to street sales points. If money goes missing along the way, you face harsh interrogations in isolated warehouses. Now you coordinate 2 couriers and begin planning more efficient routes. Level 4. You command a small team of smugglers in Sonora at 25 years old, planning nighttime desert crossings. You conceal cocaine in hidden vehicle compartments and observe everything from elevated points with binoculars. In border taverns, you negotiate with suppliers, closing deals that involve multiple routes. If a load is intercepted, you escape alone across the arid terrain and reorganize the operation in a few days. Now you store dollars in buried safes and acquire encrypted communication equipment. Level 5. You control the money flow in a hideout in Guadalajara. At 28 years old, counting stacks of bills on makeshift tables and distributing to operational cells. You listen to informant confessions in isolated rooms and decide swift punishments to maintain discipline. If funds disappear, you organize searches and settle accounts personally. Now you manage 5 operators, buy discrete properties for money laundering. But paranoia begins to grow with every transaction. Level 6. You lead distribution in Sinaloa at 30 years old after eliminating a trader who leaked information. You oversee shipments at hidden docks, concealing ecstasy in boxes of common products, and coordinating everything via secure lines. In isolated ranches, you form alliances with smaller groups, trading routes for mutual protection. If a delivery fails, you lose territory and face armed retaliation, but respond with precise counterattacks. Now you command 10 subordinates, collect armored vehicles, and keep a gun always nearby. Level 7. You administer border territories in Baja, California, at 33 years old, inspecting underground tunnels with powerful flashlights and checking shipments of marijuana and fentanyl. You bribe officials in discreet meetings, trading information for safe passages. If an alliance breaks, you organize ambushes on desert roads to regain control. Now you move millions in resources, live in fortified houses, but constantly monitor for possible infiltrations. Level 8. You make strategic decisions in Jalisco at 36 years old in a protected office, with maps and surveillance screens. You plan operations against rivals, marking targets and coordinating attack teams. You detect betrayals in meetings and order quick eliminations. If an action goes wrong, you restructure the chain of command and eliminate weak points. Now you lead 50 people, maintain direct contacts with Colombian suppliers, but 24/7 surveillance destroys any rest. Level 9. You control national networks in Michoacan at 39 years old with a reputation that commands instant respect. You sign front contracts in luxury hotels and launder money through legitimate businesses like spas and exporters. You resolve disputes in armed meetings, using calculated threats to maintain loyalty. If someone betrays you, you make them disappear as a clear warning. Now you accumulate offshore accounts, command hundreds of operatives, but loneliness grows behind the layers of security. Level 10. You manipulate international alliances in Mexico City at 42 years old, negotiating via encrypted calls and trading shipments for exclusive maritime routes. In mountain residences, you monitor cameras and drones, anticipating traders' moves. If a strategy collapses, the empire shakes and internal rivals mobilize. Now you manage thousands of operatives. Use symbols of authority like expensive watches and rings, but paranoia keeps you isolated. Level 11. You dictate policies for the entire cartel in Culiacan at 45 years old, reviewing reports in armored suites and issuing orders while making cold decisions. You handle global disputes, sealing agreements at secret dinners with high-level figures. If a major operation fails, you sacrifice pieces to protect the core, though the weight of those choices grows. Now you control vast territories and armed forces, but enemies approach in silence. Level 12. You are the absolute queen of the Mexican drug trafficking empire. At 50 years old, at the peak of an ascent built with intelligence and blood, layers of bodyguards protect you in a palace in Sinaloa. Your orders echo across nations, manipulating structures with bribes and anonymous contacts. You live in isolated towers, watching screens for any sign of betrayal. If a rebellion emerges, you crush it without hesitation, but absolute power traps you in deep solitude. Leaving the throne means certain death.